the deadliest terror attack since 9/11. The political fallout now, we heard from Donald Trump earlier. Now former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton joins us. And Secretary Clinton, thank you for joining us this morning. We've now had twice in the last 6 months U.S. citizens, American-born, who radicalize themselves, go undetected and carry out massacres like this. How can you win a war against what Donald Trump called an enemy without a uniform?
Well, first, George, I want to just express my sympathy to everyone who has been affected directly by this terrible event, everyone who lost loved ones, the families, people still fighting for their lives, and, of course, to the first responders. I think you've got to look at this as the complex challenge it is. Now, that may not be something that Donald Trump wants to talk about, but we are absolutely up to going after lone wolves, working with our allies to dismantle the global networks that fuel this kind of radicalization. And I intend to set up a team, a dedicated team that is exclusively focused on detecting and preventing lone wolf attacks. Now, that will mean providing more resources, making sure to integrate all information between law enforcement agencies, strengthening our communication, and working even closer with tech companies to prevent online radicalization. So while we are taking the fight to ISIS in Syria and Iraq, where we are determined to defeat them, we've got to really double down on our efforts here in this country. And that means, you know, also getting the Congress to do something on common sense gun safety measures, because that's not a separate issue. It is totally part of what we now see terrorists doing.
Let me ask you about that. I mean, I think a lot of people are puzzled by the fact that this young man was interviewed at least 3 times by the FBI, yet able to buy the weapons because he hadn't done anything illegal. Is anything you're proposing, would anything you're proposing be able to prevent that?
Well, you know, I think all this can look obvious in hindsight, so I'm not going to rush to judgment on the decisions that are made by career law enforcement professionals who get up every day to defend our nation. We have to wait to see what the investigation shows us. But look, if there are things we can and should do, we must. And in this particular case, he was interviewed more than once because of reports about what he was saying. And yet he had absolutely no trouble walking in and buying the assault weapon, the military-style weapon that he bought, and the ammunition that he bought. And we've got to work together, federal, state, and local government, to get better information into databases that can be used to try to prevent people who pose any kind of threat, whether it's because of mental health, domestic abuse, or, in fact, terrorism, from having access, easy access to these weapons.
Finally, Madam Secretary, we only have about 30 seconds left, but Donald Trump says he wants to reimpose that Muslim ban. You're going to be letting people come to the United States who shouldn't be coming in. Your response?
Well, as usual, he is absolutely wrong in what he is claiming. I have said very clearly that we are going to be very careful in vetting any refugee from anywhere who is coming to this country. I believe we can protect Americans and do that. I would make sure every individual goes through the most thorough screening process, background checks done by
I'm afraid the
Department
computer's
of
going to
Homeland
knock us out,
Security,
Madam Secretary.
intelligence agencies.